Let me start by asking you a question. Do you feel like you struggle to picture what your business looks like past a month from now? Now, this is the reality for most coaching companies because the way that most of them are taught is how to grow and scale a company is by generating X amount of sales every single month, right? So they focus on these new revenue targets. They set unrealistic revenue targets. They say, I'm going to hit 100K this month because that's a big milestone for coaches and that's what I want to hit. They don't actually think about what it takes to build a sustainable business that can generate $1 million a month predictably every single month, right? So the same processes that usually get you to 10, 20, 50K a month are not going to get you probably to $1 million a month, right? So with that being said, how do we actually think, what does that business look like at $1 million a month? And how do we like put math behind that? So in this training, what I'm going to do is show you how to actually calculate how many, for example, coaches and sales reps that you would need at this side here, or at this capacity of $1 million a month, and then from there, how to kind of reverse engineer the other capacity of the other roles that you may need to consider for. So from here, first thing, let's start over on the sales side. So, right, we have $1 million a month, and we have our CEO, then we have our director team, and then we have our sales department over here. But how do we know how many sales reps that we need in order to do $1 million per month? Well, let's start over here, right? So, first, let's start off with how do you calculate how many sales reps are needed inside of your business? Well, very simple. Take $1 million and then divide it by your offer price. So in this example here, we're gonna use a 10K a month offer. So we have $1 million a month divided by 10K. That equals 100 sales per month. Pretty straightforward. But now, how do we calculate how many sales calls are actually needed? Well, to calculate this, right, we just take the number of sales that are needed and multiply it by the close rate, right? So let's say our close rate is 25%, right? That means that we would need to generate, let me just grab this here. Oop. That means we would need to generate 400 calls at a 25% close rate. So, and what I would say is whatever your number is, like think of like what your average close rate, not for you is, but what a sales rep would close. If you're closing at like 50% personally, I wouldn't say, oh, well, 50% close rate. I would say a sales rep at best will probably close at around like 35, max 40-ish something percent. So a good conservative number would be probably around 30%. I did 25 here to be ultra conservative. So that'd be 400 calls per month. So how many sales reps are needed then, right? How do we calculate how many sales reps will need to be on this team? So first, let's take the number of sales calls needed per month, which is 400, and let's divide that by the weekly sales calls capacity per rep. And then multiply that by 4 because it's weekly, right? We want to calculate how many they can take per month. So, for example here, a rep can take 6 calls a day, 5 days a week, right? So they can take 30 calls per week, which means each rep can take 120 calls per month, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to take 400 calls divided by 120 calls per month that can be taken, and that gives us 3.3 reps. Now, obviously, you would have want 3.3 reps. Depending on your capacity and how the reps perform, some reps might be okay working extra hours or overtime to get some more calls in the calendar, or you might just need another rep here. So for this example here, I just put down 3 reps, assuming that you have some ambitious reps. So now, operations, by the way, and marketing, you usually don't have an operations or marketing department until you're doing at least like mid six figures per month, like around like maybe 2 to 500K a month is like when you'd start really hiring for a marketing team. In the meantime, it's usually a bit self-paced marketing or usually just working with an agency or something like that. So now let's go to, this is weird. It's giving me a weird time here. It's having me scroll. Either way. So let's go over to fulfillment. So, because this is another big part here, how many coaches do we actually need in order to run this business? So in order to calculate how many coaches are needed, right, what we would do is we would say, well, okay, we already said over here that we need, this is very strange, by the way. I don't know why Miro's not working like it just was. There we go. Okay. So right here, we know that we need 100 sales per month, right? So if we go back over here, right, we know that we need to be generating 100 clients per month inside the business. So how many coaches would we need at 100 clients a month? Well, to do this, what we want to do is calculate for the max capacity per coach. So to do this, you want to take the hours contracted per coach per week divided by average hours per client per week, right? So what we're going to do is, for example, like let's say a coach is contracted for 40 hours a week full time. Divide this by, let's say right now your client fulfillment is 2 hours per week, right? Then that means one coach can handle about 20 clients per week under management. Now, this doesn't include obviously admin work and stuff like that too. That's something you kind of want to consider as well too. But I would try to calculate this hours per week per client, also adding in that as well. And then obviously make sure to add in any time as well for like average hours per client per week. Maybe also add in the average amount of fulfillment, also like team meetings and stuff like that. So like let's say, like per client per week would be a bit different. You can break that up. To keep it simple, I would just focus on capacity per coach. So it'd be around 20 clients per week. And then from here, let's say it's like 2 weeks of team meetings, you could just knock off like an hour here because one client per week is about an hour, right? Or excuse me, one client in this example is 2 hours. So if they have about 2 hours of meetings, you can just knock off a client here. So from here, how to calculate onboarding capacity. So how many clients can you actually bring on per month? Well, simply, right, we're going to take the capacity per coach, and then we're going to divide that by the program months. So for this example, let's say the program is 2 months long. 20 clients per coach divided by 2 program months is 10 clients, right? Because at any point they can handle 20 clients, but if we were to sign 20 clients this month and then 20 clients next month, well, those 20 clients from last month are still with us, right? So now that's 40 clients that they'd be managing, and that'd be double their capacity, so fulfillment would break. So right now we know that 10 clients can be onboarded per coach per month, right? So from here, how many coaches are needed for $1 million a month? Well, what we're going to do is just take the number of sales needed, which we know is 100, and divide it by the onboarding capacity per coach. So for an example, we have 100 sales needed, and each coach can handle 10 clients per month. We would need 10 coaches in order to do this. Now, this is why when we go through processes like offer optimization and these other things, this is why it's so powerful. If we could optimize the offer to get our fulfillment down to 1 hour per week and still get them results, that literally doubles our capacity. That literally means we need half the amount of coaches in order to hit $1 million a month, right? So this is why being obsessed about optimizing your offer and your fulfillment and making it better is super, super powerful. Now from here, let's take a bit of a zoom out here. So we can see now we have 10 coaches. Now, what I want you to start thinking of is, okay, so at $1 million per month, I'll probably have around 4 departments, right? You usually have a marketing department, you have a product/CS department, you have an operations department, and then you have a sales department. And then what I want you to think is, okay, well, at $1 million a month, are we going to be running all of our own marketing? Well, what would we need in terms of marketing? And these are just some good examples here. Now, for most coaches, honestly, this will be pretty realistic unless you have a unique offer or a unique way of doing things. This is pretty much what you can expect, right? Usually an operations department is like a director of ops, and then you have operations managers. For sales, you have a sales manager / setter manager, and then you have your sales reps underneath, right? And then over here for coaching or for marketing, you usually have a copywriter / funnel builder. You have a media buyer, at least one media buyer, organic marketers, and then video editors. And then from here, you have like a director of client success, and then you have usually 2 head coaches, or usually have a head coach that oversees a pod of coaches, right? So this head coach is responsible for quality control over these coaches by reviewing their calls, making sure that they're doing well, make sure they have everything that they need. And then also too, like maybe taking on upsells, like the head coach might take the upsell initiatives. They also are usually responsible for making sure their pod hits their KPIs, such as online reviews, experience interviews. Experience interviews are also what we call video testimonials. And their job is more of like a quality control person. And then from here, you have your director of client success and product, who's responsible for coming up with the initiatives, overall responsible for the department's KPIs, doing quality assurance over the head coaches as well, helping to guide the head coaches and managing these coaches here. And then from there, this person also comes up with new initiatives for the offers as well too, and optimizing the offers. So with that being said, this is a rough breakdown of how to calculate your $1 million a month org chart. Now, the reason why I don't want to spend too much time diving in and building way too much detail in here is because every business is different. I don't want to tell you exactly how to do it, right? But what I want to do is teach you how to calculate the capacity in these different areas. And this also will help you to actually paint the picture of growth for your company, right? So if your coaches go, well, I've been here with you for a while, what does my growth actually look like? Well, if you really are ambitious and you're driven and you want to continue growing, we do have a head coach position as well too that will happen as we bring on more coaches here. And then from there, we will need a director of product, right? So once we have a director of product, right, and then over here in coaches, maybe after like 2 or 3 coaches is when you actually bring on that head coach, right? So now they can actually see what their path of growth looks like. And this is incredibly powerful for just having a team and showing them if they stay in alignment with the company, what type of growth opportunities they have available to them.